Charles Ross, welcome
Hello.
back. How are you?
I am very excited to do this. This is our third time
Mm,
meeting and chatting. I mean, we have collabed on other things, but this is important. I think the third one is important. The
yes.
number three is important.
Yeah, it certainly is. And today we're going to be talking about Freemasonry and symbology.
Yes, yes. Symbolism in Freemasonry
Mm,
has been something that I've recently started kind of allowing myself to go into, and I have really enjoyed it. It's been nostalgic because I've seen all of this symbolism as a child, growing up in the DDR, the Deutsche Democratic Republic. Most people don't know that about me, that I actually lived in the DDR for the first 8 years of my life before I moved to the UK. So uh,
Whereabouts exactly? Whereabouts did you live?
it was a town called Königs Wusterhausen, which translated is the home of the king. It's a small village just outside Berlin. It's actually really close to Berlin. It's considered to be part of Berlin, but it is not Berlin. I did not grow up in the big city, Berlin. I
Yeah.
grew up in this town, and I actually had the privilege of returning there last year, at the beginning of last year, and it was a lot of the stuff was very like nostalgic. There was like a lot of deja vus, a lot of places that I recognized, but I didn't remember much. I mean, I remembered obviously where I lived and the school and things like that, where I went, but seeing it change, I mean, but also some things hadn't changed, and the
Mm,
things that hadn't changed were 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 kind of worrying a little bit, almost like there wasn't much going on there. Like there wasn't much in the way of development economically, and I think people were there weren't many people living there, not many young people. There was a lot of graffiti, a lot of piles of trash. It was quite sad in a way. But it's still a very beautiful town. There's lots of old buildings, churches. The cinema is still there. Um, I didn't obviously recognize anyone because it was like a long time ago. But yeah, but a lot of the street names haven't changed. I have family who still live there. Yeah, so that was a very, very beautiful experience for me. It's really weird to go somewhere where you grew up as a child that you, as a child, couldn't wait to get away from. But then when you return, you realize it was just a place. It was just cobbled streets and old buildings. And the old buildings are fascinating for me now because I have looked into architecture a lot. And so yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird.
I often
Uh,
think it's
yeah.
a strange kind of situation to be in, knowing what we know now and looking into Tartaria, and then you think of all the places that you've been before you started researching it, how differently you would have looked at these places and these buildings, knowing what you know
Yeah.
now. And to go back and revisit all of these sites and towns and cities, wouldn't that be wonderful, knowing everything that we've taken in over the years and what we've learned?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it starts to slowly dawn on you that okay, first of all, you realize that this experience that you had there was very, very much a superficial one because it was based on buildings and trees and streets. And then as you've had a life and you've traveled around different countries, I mean, living in England for me, living in Taiwan, going back there, you don't your brain has this incredible ability to forget negativity. So you can't even remember anything negative, even though you were isolated. There was a lot of negativity. Everyone could have been a spy. You couldn't read the Bible in your own home. And if you did have someone knock at the door, you had to hide your Bible. And my family were incredibly religious, and so we had a lot of fears. But it's it's the fact that your brain does this for you, and I think you have to appreciate the power of the human brain, that it takes away the negative and somehow identifies those memories as negative, but retains everything that you need to get the nostalgia, to appreciate your family, your past, those people that helped you, to have some sense of evolution throughout your life, to have a sense of growing. Obviously, you are larger, so everything that you thought was like intimidating is no longer intimidating. The street is a lot smaller than you remember. Um, I mean, the road isn't even big enough for two cars, but to me, this road was the lifeline, the energy line to the rest of the world. And in a way, it helps you understand how children are going to see the world at a
Mm,
young age, and it probably could make you a better teacher. It could make you a better maybe father. Could make you sort of give people more space, more freedom.
yeah,
But but um but no, if I still lived there now, it would be very hard for me to look upon that situation as being a positive one.
yeah.
Because it is a rundown area. I mean, it wasn't run down when it was under the DDR, and I think the DDR and communism gets a bad rap sometimes because we had great education. There was always food on the table. Yes, we weren't allowed to leave the country, which is a terrible negative, I think. If people can't leave the country, they can't compare their own lifestyle to other people. But I think also the symbolism on everything, like everything had a very particular sort of no frills packaging. And like ice cream, I didn't know what ice cream was until I went to the UK. So I never had an ice cream until I was like 9 years old. So
Wow.
so there's some things that seem so extremely far away from like a modern Western lifestyle. But maybe we need to remind ourselves sometimes of what the differences are, because there are people still living in like real strict communist regimes today, and in 2025, and yeah, I mean, I've never really thought about the differences. I think I was always intimidated by that. I always wanted to sort of hide my sort of my early childhood, because it was definitely getting in the way of making friends in the UK, and it was definitely getting in the way of like um, uh, being sort of part of the crowd, which is all you want when you're young. You just want to be
Mm.
accepted. You want to be able to amalgamate into the society. Which I don't know why you need to do that when you're young. Maybe how much time would you save if you didn't care about that and you were actually trying to build your own personal sort of mental kind of framework.
Well, there are
But
people
maybe,
that do,
yeah,
aren't there? We all knew children at school that didn't
mm,
join in, and and
yeah,
and and they were ostracized. Absolutely.
they got
Uh,
a hard time.
yeah,
Yeah.
they did. So, what have you been looking at with regard to Freemasonry?
I have been measuring things, measuring the logos. I have a lot of images that I could put through and show you later if you want, or anytime. Uh, but yeah, I've been looking at the hammer and sickle, the origin of it. I obviously now I know the connection between Russia and Great Britain and Germany. That was obviously something that had occurred already when I was born, long before I was born. But living in the DDR and looking at the world from well, looking at just your country because you can't look at anything else, and looking at this model empire that they were constructing, basically looking for a Moorish European lineage, and then creating a DDR fiefdom around it, and then trying to create the model city using communist ideals. Now, Karl Marx obviously wrote the manifesto, and he was obviously very much involved in how Lenin constructed his communist, the USSR and Eastern European countries. But I still cannot fully comprehend why Germany was turned into two different empires. So you have the Western GDR and the East German. And when I'm looking into Freemasonry, I'm finding similarities between the symbolism in communism, socialism, and Freemasonry. And I have three things that I have not shown anyone that I want to show people who view your channel. The first one is the one behind me.
Yeah.
This is the flag that I was. I mean, I spent the first 5 years of my life um, uh, being kind of almost conditioned. I would say brainwashed into accepting the to become a youth pioneer as my highest possible academic achievement at that time. And I will never forget looking up to the pioneers that were already wearing their little hats with the, as you can see, this is a like a, you've got like a sickle, is it? No, I mean it should be hammer and sickle, but it's not. It's a hammer
Mm.
and compass.
Compass. Yeah, it's very
It's not a
Masonic.
sickle. And I
Mm.
haven't been able to see that until recently. I've
Mm.
always seen a hammer and sickle. So I don't know what's going on with my brain, my mind, that I couldn't see it, but now I can see it. I can see a hammer, and I can see. I can't see a straight edge, which I know is the Mason symbol, but I can see the compass.
Yeah, absolutely. Clear as day. Yeah.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is Freemason symbolism,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
and I don't think there's anyone else who's ever made that connection, because I don't think you can make that connection until you free up or put, pack away half of your kind of consciousness and then start again in another part of your brain or something. Uh, so I don't know what's going on there, but I never made that connection until recently, which is why I've gone deeper into symbolism. It's surprising how much you can do within just a few days if you know what you're doing, kind of thing.
Yes.
But I found it all over the place now. Now I'm trying to understand if Freemasonry is actually controlling and designing everything from more science to communism um modern day Roman, the Roman model for an empire, American Masonry, which is obviously symbolism that we see everywhere, the red star, the red fist, the red flags, the black and red flags. The Bolsheviks were also using similar symbolism, the red sun, the Yuchi torch, the hammer and sickle. I mean, if they are all Masons, if they are all, how can they all be Masons? You see, this is my question. If they're all Masons, that means that the middle of this labyrinth that we're trying to get kind of to is sort of an all-powering overseer. Is that the noble Tartarian lineage that we're actually trying to find? Or is that just one of the families? Like, could that be the House of Gulev, House of Orange, House of Habsburg, you know? And yeah, I mean, if you can give me any more help here on my research, of all the people that I can ask, I think you'd be the one that I need to ask first. Yeah, because okay, I've also seen actors that have been given anagrams as names, fake names, not their real names. Do you know Army Hammer?
No, no, I don't.
He was with Johnny Depp in The Lone Ranger. He was also
Oh,
in a
okay.
movie
Yeah, yeah.
about DDR. He was in a movie
Yeah.
about East Germany and escaping across the. So Army Hammer is not his real name. His name is Arm and Hammer. It's an anagram within his movie name, his superstar showbiz name. That's the Arm and Hammer. And I've seen other actors like that who have similar sort of hidden messages within their names, because they
Mm.
never use their real names. It's not safe, I don't think, for them to use their real names, especially. I mean, once they're famous, they'd probably be more protected, and they'd be able to afford like houses with CCTV or something. But at the early age of their career, when I think they use that for safety. But Army Hammer has a connection to. I think his family have a connection uh, to maybe Eastern Europe or something. Um, yeah. Then I also was looking at a lot of other symbolism, like the manifestation of things. The oldest one that I found was a an Arm and Hammer communist coin, and maybe I can share that one with you.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to share photos. Uh, I have quite a few actually, but yeah. So this is just this is very, very. I mean, this is going back a long time. This is pretty much, yeah, the beginning. Uh,
Isn't there a toothpaste, or was there a toothpaste called Arm& and Hammer?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I
There
thought
is a
so.
yeah. It comes up every
Oh,
time.
wow.
Yeah,
Set, square, and compass. Yeah, so that's Masonic.
yeah. So here we have a this looks like a chainmail and maybe a like a knight's armor, and then you have the sickle.
Hmm.
Or well, actually, you have a straight edge compass, and then you have the fleur de lis, or maybe it's a lotus blossom on top of that. Um, and the hammer, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this almost makes you think that, yeah, I mean, because it's got that straight edge, it's almost certainly Masonic. Would you agree with that?
Oh, it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, absolutely. That
yeah.
that is the sign of a Master Freemason, the set, square, and compass. Absolutely.
Mhm. And do you think the Arm and Hammer is then socialism or communism?
That I don't know, but it's interesting that it's woven through the compass,
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
arm's
So it's
through the
going through
compass.
the door of understanding. Then we have these acanthus plants.
Yeah. Although, for me,
24,
filigree,
24 leaves, yeah. 24
yeah,
days of the sorry, hours of the day, yeah.
yeah. And they do say that in Freemasonry that the day is split into the 24 hours is actually referred to as a 24-inch gauge. When you do your second degree, what they call
Oh, that's incredible.
fellowcraft. Yeah,
Oh, that's
fellowcraft
incredible.
is 24-inch gauge. I think it's the common gavel and
Yeah,
the 24-inch gauge. And the 24-inch gauge represents the 24 hours of the day, 8
yeah.
hours to be spent at work, 8 hours to be spent in Masonic kind of study, if you like, and 8 hours to be spent sleeping.
Oh,
And
8 hours sleeping. Okay.
8 hours sleeping, 8 hours work, and 8 hours kind of um,
So that's what
working,
they call
researching, and
the
learning.
Circadian, yeah.
Yeah,
The Circadian rhythm.
yeah. So those
Yeah, yeah.
the
So
filigree
this,
around, yeah,
yeah, I don't think there are
represents
many
that.
people who've seen this picture, this particular coin, yeah. I have found a similar coin in Taiwan, that I don't have a photo of actually, but yeah, these coins are everywhere on Earth. Doesn't matter where you go. I mean, not this
Really
particular one, but similar symbols. Yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Do
I've
you
got a
know where?
Russian one. Yeah,
So where's that one actually from? Do you know?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm not like wary of sharing my sources. I literally don't know.
Mm, yeah,
So
no problem. Yeah, no problem at all.
yeah,
Haha,
so this is one of my earliest finds. This has probably been shared before, but yeah. So it's the idea of having four shapes. There are only four shapes in the universe. Everything's made up of four shapes. This
hmm.
is actually also Chinese Taoist beliefs that there are four shapes that make up everything. And so you have a six pointed star, two triangles intersecting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what the
and
G stands for?
I always thought it was God.
Yeah, yeah, it is God. Yeah.
The ultimate architect? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the great
Now, who?
architect of the universe.
Yeah, I mean, who God is actually could vary depending on your beliefs, but yeah,
Well, it's
I mean,
changed. It's changed. When you joined years ago, they asked you if you believed in God.
yeah.
And about 20 years ago, maybe longer than that, they asked if you believed in a supreme being. But it was always
Oh,
God up
okay.
until that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you believed in God, you'd still agree that He's supreme. So I guess it would work on any
Yeah, and
level. Yeah.
I think it was to encompass other religions, people joining from other religions.
Yeah, yeah. This is the thing. Like, if you don't have a communist, Masonic, uh, um, sort of gathering, then you would exclude an entire potential ruling elite, right? So
Yeah,
so you have to encompass everything, or sort of all at once, all the time. Yeah.
yeah.
So this is how I'm viewing it. Yeah. This is you've got Boaz and is it Jehoiakim or Jeroboam?
Jarkin,
Jarkin. Okay.
Jarkin. Yeah, the two pillars of King Solomon's temple.
Now, I don't think they are from King Solomon's temple, based on my own research. I think that they are from Egypt. That's the only place where I've seen two pillars that exist for no reason. Well, obviously there is a reason, and the reason I believe is the left and the right side of the brain. I think it's
Well,
based on the anatomy.
in Masonic ritual, they are from
Yeah.
King Solomon's temple, Boaz and
Okay.
Jarkin,
But
and that's
nobody's
where
found
the
that temple. Is that correct?
no, that's right, and that's where you went as a stonemason to be paid. So you went through those pillars to be paid.
What are you being paid when you
You're a
enter?
stonemason, so it's your salary, which I don't know at the time what that would have been. Obviously, salary comes from salt, and some people were paid in salt,
Yeah,
weren't they? But
Salisbury. Yeah.
I don't know with regard to King Solomon. I mean, obviously, everything to do with King Solomon is connected to gold, but I don't know actually what they were using as money back then in that particular
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
There's no reference to it.
Well, I mean, it probably was knowledge. I think the Egyptians cared only about knowledge and serving God. I think the Egyptians get a bad rap in the Bible because we've had so many books removed. And I think the truth is that the most powerful followers of God were actually pharaohs in the end. And I believe this because Akhenaten was actually called Moses in the Bible, and he was the one who was given the staff with a snake, which is only a temporary thing, and it's usually just symbolism. But it could also be literal snakes that you can control. So getting power over nature is God's ultimate gift.
Hmm.
Getting power over yourself is how you prove that you are worthy of it.
He
Um,
had an elongated skull, didn't he?
Um, yes, I mean, I think everyone used to have elongated skulls. Yeah, I don't think they were bound to be elongated. I think
No.
we just had bigger heads.
Hmm. Or
You
they
know,
did.
I like to think of myself as the same thing. Uh, I mean, I don't know how your head gets bigger or if your head continues to grow if you become 800 years old. We simply don't know because we're not allowed to get to that age at the moment
Hmm.
because we've lost that connection with God. Yeah. But this is a beautiful image. Even at the bottom of the picture, I think that that also has some connection to Arabic texts. I think there's like a lot going on here, like seven stars. That's obviously
Yes.
God's seven like chakras, seven cities of gold. Yeah. What I wanted to get your take on the sun and moon. What was that? Is that female and male energy, masculine, feminine energy?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
female and yeah, male and female. Yeah.
And the all-seeing eye, also, you would see that as, uh, are you okay looking at this? Like, I know that,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Some people sort of say that and I've seen this on some interviews that I've been on, not on my
yeah,
own channel, but on other
okay,
people's that once a Freemason, always a Freemason. He's a psyop. He's still part of the Freemasons, and he's controlled. And he's a 33rd degree Freemason. And obviously, all of these comments are normally posted by people who are not Freemasons, have never joined Freemasonry and not read anything about it, just decided. Um, so it's kind of not, from my experience, you know, quite what other people make it out to be. But I only got to
yeah,
the third degree, third out of 33 levels, and I didn't really meet many people that got any higher than that in the years I was there.
yeah,
But most people who talk about Freemasonry have never been a member, they've never joined. So they're coming at it from an angle with that has actually absolutely no evidence or experience to substantiate it, and very few
Yeah.
people research it properly. They just come out with all sorts of things. Oh, it's satanic, it's this, that, and the other. It may well be higher up, and I actually think it probably is. My research suggests that, but they think that the day you join, you're giving some sort of blood sacrifice and you know, paying homage or giving your life and your energy to Satan and all this. And they, obviously they haven't got a clue. I don't know where they
Mm.
get this information from, but it doesn't bother me talking about it because anybody that has joined will appreciate what I'm saying. That it's difficult to know really what happens in the higher degrees. They'll know that there are certain things that you swear that you won't repeat or share. You're told not to write anything down, which is interesting. You're not to write anything down about Freemasonry. But I would say the only people that I ever get backlash from, or kind of immature comments from, are the ones that are least informed. But that's kind of what
Yeah.
you would expect.
Yes, I do believe that symbolism cannot be controlled. There cannot be any gatekeeper to symbolism as such. I mean, obviously Masons have taken things that existed within the Moorish Empire, and so did the Templars. They also took the Moorish cross from Jerusalem. Actually, I think they were gifted it, but either way, there are at least three different versions of the cross. So
Mm,
I don't think there is no such thing as ownership. It's kind of like making a great post on Facebook and then someone saves that, or buying an NFT and someone just saves it, and then
mm,
they use it again and they structure a belief system around it to attract a certain demographic or a certain level of intellect. But do believe in the Bible it says we were all created equal, and I think in the end, if we are given the opportunity, we will look for meaning in symbols because we realize how limiting, especially English is, which is a reverse Hebrew, which is also not as old as people tell you that it is, and we're all kind of going back to symbols because Chinese is symbols. That's why things like Starbucks don't do very well in China because you're being given this symbolism, which is the
yes.
upside down version of a goat, which is a war banner that has been that is imprinted into the Asiatic person's DNA. And they will never forget that those were the conquerors that went through Asia, the Ottomans.
Mm,
So Starbucks cannot happen because Asia is more of, I mean, it's going to do well at the start. I think it did very well at the beginning, and now it's tilting off, and they don't understand why. Why aren't Chinese people interested in Starbucks in exactly the same way that Americans were once they have disposable income? Yeah, which people now in
mm,
China are slowly beginning to have. Well, because the symbolism of your mermaid is an upside down goat,
yeah.
and that is imprinted into every Qing dynasty, Han dynasty, Han Hakka person that lives in China. It's the war banner that they saw when their cities got burnt down
Mm,
many times, not just once or twice. It happened many times over thousands of years. And the power of symbolism, this is my honest belief that the power of symbolism cannot be removed from or differentiated from numerical text, but it is heightened in Asia because their alphabet it becomes an amalgamation of different phonics. So each word is actually a symbol all on its own. Yeah. So you can do that with A&E. You can add A&E and you can create like an A&E symbol if you're talking
yeah.
about if you're trying to combine the diphthong, I think it's called. But you can't but Asian people do that from birth. Like that's how they learn how to speak. So symbolism is so much more important in China and Asia because you see it in every temple like the lotus blossom, the yin and yang, symbols, symbols, symbols. It's symbols everywhere. They don't have space to start writing words in Chinese or Mandarin, so it's all symbols. And I think we used to be like that too. And I think if you try to create a coffee shop that has like a star and a crescent moon, nobody's going to want to go there, and you won't understand why, because it just simply doesn't work,
Yeah,
because that is everyone's a genetical fear. We have a certain fear of people. That's what Trump built his whole campaign on this, immigration, immigration, immigration. There's a reason for that. It's not, nothing to do with immigrants having lots of disposable income and money and they could take your job. It's not. Immigrants are actually really important for a thriving economy, because they do certain jobs that high educated people don't want to necessarily do. Some immigrants are doctors and lawyers that just want to improve their lives. And it's bad for your economy if you don't have immigrants regularly, immigrants. And the United States, of all places on earth, is literally built out of immigration, like from
absolutely.
Italians to the Irish,
Mm,
that they brought over, especially I think the British just put a lot of people into America over
mm,
hundreds of years. I mean, you've got the Statue of Liberty, that's why they call it Statue of Liberty, but it still works because
mm.
there's nothing more powerful than a genetic memory and this paranoia about people coming from other countries, because we've been invaded multiple lifetimes. Maybe if we go back multiple lifetimes, it's the soul we have to worry about, not the physical color and shapes. And
Mm.
but yeah, if the Masonic symbolism is taken from communism, taken from, and even being used to construct that identity.
Yeah.
Now, how complicated does that get? Because now we're talking about Masonry going back far enough to almost create this identity for certain presidents,
Well, do you know
because
how
they
far
have
back
a
it
roster.
goes? Do
It
you know how
probably goes
far back?
back, yeah, very far. I mean, it definitely goes back to the first uh, sort of British kind of monarchs going into the
Well,
New World. Yeah.
Freemasonry goes back to King Solomon. And the first
Yeah.
Freemason, as we know it, was a person called Hiram Abiff. Now, Hiram
Yes.
Abiff designed King Solomon's temple, and he was
Yeah.
using esoteric knowledge handed down from him, and he was killed. He'd started a
Yeah.
society of sharing knowledge on esoteric, um, I suppose, not occulted, but sacred geometry would perhaps be a better description, of how they built the structures and why they built them in certain ways. And he was the master architect or chief architect, and he had under him stonemasons and apprentice
Yeah.
stonemasons and so on. But he was murdered because he'd started this sort of secret group, if you like, a group of people that were sharing this sacred geometry knowledge and teaching each other and learning.
Yeah.
Um, and he wouldn't tell. There was one evening, three people sort of approached him. They wanted to know the handshake and the password so they could join. He wouldn't share it with them, so he was murdered. Um, and he was the only person that King Solomon buried inside the walls of the temple, along with the
Yeah.
priests. Everybody else was always buried on the outside, but he was held in such high regard. He was buried on the inside. And the reason why, when you see Masons going to a lodge meeting, that they look like they're attending a funeral and often wear mourning suits is because they are in permanent mourning for Hiram Abiff, who died rather than give over the handshake, which is called a grip or a token, and the password. And that's why. So it goes all the way back to King Solomon's temple. So
Yeah.
it's
So I've
thousands of
read,
years old.
yeah, I've read a little bit about Hiram. I've actually read a few things about Hiram Abiff. I've also listened to Michelle Gibson's podcast. She did like quite a detailed um, summary. But yeah, I mean, it is people all have their own opinion. Uh, so I would consider him to be a a Moor, or he originated in Northern Africa. So there's a connection there with Egypt and and Morocco. So he probably was at some point in Spain. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't,
You
not to
don't
the
know.
best of my
Okay.
knowledge. I've never heard that. You're taught about him from day one.
Yeah.
of joining. But there was never any mention of him being in Spain. But like I said,
Okay.
I got to the third degree. There are
Mm.
33 in light craft, light Freemasonry, the light degrees. So what happens above the third degree? I've no idea what they share.
Mhm.
But no, I'd never heard that.
Also, Russians used to be referred to as ruffians,
Mm.
especially in some of Jordan Nuttall's texts that he's been posting. Like, so ruffians could be translated to Russians, which could be Tartarians. So
Do you think that that's just the that because he showed me something like something that like that, and to me, what my first glance was that that's just how they used to do S. That's what an S was in Old English,
yeah.
how they were doing writing the letter S. So to me, it still said Russian rather than ruffian.
So we shouldn't probably. I mean, ruffians is then just a word that was created because it was translated without the understanding of the S and the F
Yes, could
interchangeable.
be.
So
Tartar's like that,
ruffian.
isn't it? They used to say
Yep.
if someone, years
Yeah.
ago, they'd say, oh, he's a dirty Tartar.
Yep. It
But
was
that
used
was a
as a
very
yeah a
derogatory term.
derogatory term.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. No. That yeah. I find that very interesting. So we could have the Tartarians killing the Moors at that point, or maybe the Tartarians were trying to control knowledge, which could also actually be
Yeah,
um, at a point when they were one. They were one. The Moors and the Tartarians
yeah,
were one. But yeah, I mean, I have such great respect for the Moorish Empire. After looking at having studied obviously the architecture and having
oh,
found it all over the
yeah,
place. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I went to Lisbon a few months ago in
Yes, you
Portugal,
did. Yeah.
and I checked into this a really lovely hotel right in the centre, and they spoke in perfect English, incredible English, better than most English people. And I said to this girl, and she was from Morocco, but she
Mm.
lived in Portugal most of her adult life. And she said, "What do you think of Lisbon? Is it the first time you've been?" I said, "It's beautiful." I said, "It's so nice to see Moorish architecture like this. It's magnificent." She said, "You're the first person that's ever acknowledged that this is Moorish architecture. Thank you."
Yeah. And yeah, so if we can completely abandon all sense of racism, we go light years ahead of everyone else, overnight,
Yeah.
within minutes.
I gave a
It's
talk
such a
yesterday.
great awakening. Yeah.
I gave a talk yesterday about an hour away from here, and it was on Tartaria, and I was
Yep.
explaining how resets happen, and great resets have been going on forever. And they said to me at the end in the Q&A, how do we get past this current reset? And I said to them that if you look at the division that's been caused through religion, we're seeing it now more than ever. That there seems to be a drive for the parasites to stop us following any form of religion, and then we'll have one world, one religion, won't we? One religion, one government, one ruler, one currency, and so on. Ultimately, probably one language. And I said that what we've got to do now is more than ever forget about what your beliefs are, forget about what color someone's skin is, agree to
Yep.
disagree on certain things, and stand together. We've got to unite because if you were in a car accident and you needed a blood transfusion and you're critically ill but you're conscious, you are not going to
Mm.
say to the surgeons and the nurses and so on, you're not going to say to them, can I find out what religion they were and what color they were before I have the blood, please? You're just going to take it because you're
Right,
going to
right.
die if you don't get it. And I think that we have to understand that we've got to unite and forget about these things. They don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, some would say better to die than accept the blood. Have you heard that theory?
I have heard that, and I think, well, that's a choice that if that's the
Yeah.
choice you want to make, then perhaps the world doesn't need people like you in it.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I do understand your point. Yeah, we're all the same. I mean, it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
kind of melanin we have, or yeah, how
No. Oh, and
exactly
I
we,
understand.
yeah,
Sorry, I understand that some people would say that you shouldn't have blood from another person. I understand that. What my
Yeah,
argument
there's
isn't
that also.
that.
There's the religious
Yeah,
concept of what blood is in the Bible. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. My argument is would you refuse blood based on someone's ethnicity if you were dying?
yeah. No, that doesn't
It
make
wouldn't be
yeah,
a conversation. I don't think it would be a conversation you would have. And I
yeah,
understand, a boss of mine years ago. He was. This is when I was a graphic designer. You said you studied it as well. That's what
mm,
I did for years. He was
yeah,
Jehovah's Witness, and they wouldn't take a
ah,
blood transfusion. Um,
yes,
he wasn't exactly the best Jehovah's Witness in the world, but his wife was. His children were
mm,
raised that way, and his parents too. And he said that it's something that he would maybe consider, but his wife probably wouldn't. If and if she was his next of kin
yeah,
in that situation, he probably wouldn't have a blood transfusion. So my argument isn't should you receive blood from another being. That's kind of not the point of my argument. My
yeah.
point
I
was
understand.
that yeah, I don't think the color of someone's skin and their religious beliefs matter. I think that they're things
Mm.
that we can respect as individual points of view and different circumstances and being raised in different cultures and accept that and not find it as a reason to hate each other. It's
Yeah,
divide and
yeah. I think
conquer.
yeah, because I mean, the idea is that um, according to the birth of evil symbols, where you have a spiral which they put into children's toys. Like I found my kid playing with this,
Mm.
and they put that spiral intentionally into kids' toys, which is also symbolism. This is a very strange one. It's obviously not a snail. So what do you think it is?
Yeah. Well, the only other thing it could be is a snake.
Right. So I'm thinking like satanic birth of evil kind of imagery.
Mm. Mm.
Because if you put that into a kid's like, because that's not a snail. I mean, that's got
No.
more in common with an inner ear, I think. But
Yes. Yes.
so there's so much of this going on with kids'
Yeah.
toys. Like,
But
I
also
think
it's the why has it escaped me? Fibonacci sequence.
yes, Fibonacci sequence, yeah.
So I'm seeing
Which
that
might
as
also not
well.
have anything to do with Fibonacci. That's one of my other theories. Yeah.
Right.
But that symbolism from the Italian would you call him mathematician? That also is all throughout like Alhambra Palace in Spain. So that's very much also Moorish. So I think that
Mm.
when you look at how the pyramids are placed underneath Orion's belt, you can draw a line between all of the capstones, which I know have been taken actually, but the capstones, and you kind of draw that line through them all, and you end up at the tomb of the birds. They already knew that, which is insane. To if you
Mm.
understand that they knew not only where exactly the stars would be on Orion's belt at a certain, summer solstice, but that they actually constructed pyramids that we cannot build today within that geometry. Um,
Mm.
yeah, Graham Hancock did a good summary of that. It's mind-boggling, especially some of the larger megaliths within the middle of the structure in the King's Chamber, where they were obviously farming etheric energy and creating mana from
Yeah.
heaven that God was giving them. Um, but yeah, I mean, to summarize, that was the idea of etheric energy pulling up water around the pyramid, so you could then drink water in the middle of the desert, but at the same time also creating a secret sort of chamber where the king or the pharaoh would then be able to give out this kind of infinite source of a probably the closest thing would be mother's milk, because which I
Mm.
know makes no sense, but it's taken from the air. I mean, everything is already here. We already have everything within us that we need. And I think the Masonic connection, even the $1 bill, the American $1 bill, why does it
Mm.
have a pyramid on it? Why does it have the all-seeing eye? Why does it have a capstone? Well, it's because it's trying to hide the truth in case everything is lost, there's a complete reset, Armageddon, end of the world, and you know the basics are still there because there's bound to be some hijacker's passport, or you know there's bound to be something lying around, you know, that at some
Yeah.
point we're going to rediscover and we're going to reteach ourselves, right? So
Mm,
that's what I kind of want to make sure comes out in this conversation between us, that the birth of evil, um, uh, if that doesn't exist, then we can't have this beautiful, positive situation where we're actually like, you know, basically it's just our brains communicating, you know, and that can enlighten, so give you ideas. I've seen you taking notes. So you know, I'm taking notes all the time, like 24-inch gauge. Okay, hours out. Okay, so it's like like it's already in there. This is
mm,
the whole thing. It's already in there. If you don't know that you can be evil, it's like Jordan Peterson says, if you don't know that, if you don't have the potential to be completely horrible, like just, you know, in a computer game, shoot everyone or something, then how can you be good? You know, how can you? And I think that's the message that's running throughout all of the symbolism.
mm.
So yeah, so the God that I think is being worshipped today is the false god. I think the Vatican is worshiping the false god. I think they're worshiping Satan. I think they're
I
hiding that from
agree.
the public, but they're doing it behind closed doors, which
Totally.
is
I
which
absolutely agree.
which is which is I think why it has its own police force, its own
Mm,
government, and it's not part of Italy, or you know, and I think the City of London the same thing. I think there's
hmm.
like a financial kind of arm to the whole entire,
There is,
you
yeah.
know, world that is beneath the symbolism. And the symbolism is, I think, the only way you can ever see that, because there's never going to be a sentence. There's never going to be um, uh, any kind of book that's going to get published on this topic. You know, you're going to have to. Yeah, I mean, it's just God, spirituality, this river that flows through everything, and Guy Anderson's books, but that's about it. You're not going to get much more. There's not going to be much more. So I think all creatures are souls, lower frequencies are demonic souls. Every single animal on Earth. That's the only way it makes sense. Truth and lies. I think if you see something crawling out of the pond trying to take your life, don't worry, it can't. You're protected. All history is predictive programming. It's all predictive programming. Every single thing, every historic event, every war was all predictive programming. You're born with guardian angels, you're born with seraphims. If you could see them, you would literally not be able to continue living a normal life. If you saw the amount of dragons and snakes that are constantly trying to kill you, you wouldn't be able to live a normal life. You'd be a shivering mess on the floor. You would have never been able to get to the age you are now, or get to the higher frequency you are now. So you have to reject things. You have to reject so many things. Um, and this demiurge that created the Nephilim also, I think, knew that he could never get back to heaven if he didn't at least try to construct it on Earth. So these buildings are not ours. We didn't build them. Human beings can't build this stuff we see everywhere. We can't even destroy it. Like Köln Cathedral could not be destroyed. They dropped thousands of bombs on there. Nobody talks about this. There's a force field or something. The geometry of the building itself made it impossible to be destroyed. And they were just trying to find those buildings, you know? And I don't know what they were going to do with them, but then I think God stepped in at some point. I think there's certain things you can't do. You have a lot of freedom here, but there's certain things you just can't do. And I think the symbolism is going to continue to lead me to the greatest secret somewhere in the middle of this labyrinth. And it might
Who is
just
God?
be, yeah,
Sorry, Charles, carry on.
too much, too fast. Okay. Too,
Who is God to you?
who is God?
To you, yeah,
To me.
as far
Well,
as you're
God
concerned.
is Yahweh. I know they're trying to say Yahweh was somebody else, but God will always be, I think, to some extent, Yahweh. The word of God is the Tetragrammaton. I think that some people don't want to say the name of God, but in German it would be Atem, uh, which is also Artemis. In English, it would just be your breath. So all of those sounds that only Moors can make. So certain Africans can make these sounds like
Mm.
it's going to sound crazy if I try. I can't make those sounds. They can. I know a guy
Yeah, the
who makes those sounds all
Portuguese
the
do.
time. Yeah,
Portuguese yeah, are
yeah,
able to replicate that. They actually
yeah.
use that same kind of
There are
pronunciation.
people who fall asleep, who
Mm,
have concussions, who wake up speaking Arabic. We don't know the human brain. Everyone tries to limit our sort of understanding by trying to tell us something. I think if you're not a free thinker, you can't. If you don't understand spiritualism, you can't. You can invent or understand literally anything, but enough people have to have seen it before.
mm,
That's why I think Native Americans couldn't see the ships that were coming into the coastline because they'd never seen them before, so they saw nothing. I think it was that insane. I think there are UFOs landing here every day, aliens, spirit creatures, Nephilim coming, walking around here all over us, you know. But we can't see them. I mean, ultraviolet infrared is nothing. There are animals can see more than that. We
mm,
respect if we respect all these creatures that we see, all these kind of Pokemon type creatures that people keep posting, especially Jordan. He loves to post all these incredible creatures, but yeah, these are real creatures that existed, and some of them still do. And if I mean, there's caves in China that have their own ecosystems. We don't know anything. We haven't even explored the ocean properly. Like
mm.
we don't say no to anything. That's the biggest mistake. That you start becoming your own gatekeeper. You start doing your own gatekeeping. I think that's when it's over. You know, if you start saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous," or
Yeah.
what, like people with no neck. That's you
Oh,
know.
the blemmies and
The
yeah.
Blemmies, yeah, I love the Blemmies. I love the
Mm,
Blemmies. You know, within our culture. We see them all the time. It's just we don't make connections. You know,
mm. Yeah, I
it's
totally
making the
agree.
connection constantly. What's the little nursery rhyme? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, right?
Yeah,
Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. So and these were our kings as well. That's kind of funny. And like every empire is scared of wolves that are walking around talking. Why? You know? Are we just presuming that they made that up at some point? Like someone made up
mm,
that a wolf can talk? And why is it always a wolf? You know, like
yes.
a Red Riding Hood is always a wolf. You know,
Mm.
who's trying to? There's always a wolf.
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
Bless
everywhere,
you.
isn't it? Thank you. Little Red Riding Hood, the Three Little Pigs. It's always a
Three Little
wolf.
Pigs.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a wolf. And then
Use
obviously,
your Tartarian red brick, otherwise, you got no chance.
yeah, yeah,
Because
you're
the
quite right.
Cynocephalia are coming.
Mm.
Someone should do nursery rhymes and kids cartoons using all of this kind of esoteric stuff.
Do you know it's before
Isn't that a
I
good
wrote
idea?
I, I before I wrote that book on Tartaria, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, I was toying with writing a book about the true meaning behind all of the fairy tales, the truth behind
Yeah.
them, because they are so dark and people don't
Oh,
realize
they're
exactly.
terrible. Especially the
Yeah,
Black Mirror that this woman keeps looking
yeah,
into. And then yeah, she's trying to obviously offer up, sacrifice her own
mm,
stepchild. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the hunters has to go cut out her
yeah.
heart and give it.
Mm.
That's a kid's, it's not a kid's story.
No, it's not.
It's an
No.
important esoteric tale that we ignore because it's repackaged for children and all the
Mm,
juicy bits are taken out,
mm,
you know. But we're still telling children this. We're still saying, "Oh, she had an apple. The apple's poison." What is an apple? You know? Is
yeah.
that anything to do with the Garden of Eden? Probably. I mean, it's an
Yeah,
apple.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Knowledge, apple of knowledge.
Knowledge.
It's
Yeah.
wow. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Did you know Olive? Do you know famous English writer? He wrote a story about the friendly giant. Have you ever heard that
The
kid
Friendly
story?
Giant. Yeah. Yeah.
Who is the giant? Is that a Nephilim, like trying to find out how the children can make gardens grow, and then in the end you find this kid with like some kind of stigmata?
That's a bloody good question. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 That's a really old one. Is that
Yeah.
Wilde?
It's very
Oscar Wilde.
popular. Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
popular. Yeah.
that's a kid story.
Yeah, it is.
The the children make the flowers grow, right? The tree of life,
Yeah.
everything. Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Try to revisit some old things from your past, and you'll have a completely different perspective. It's yeah.
Yeah. And I
It's
think once you've
insane.
gone there, you start to see things differently. I put a post up yesterday about J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter.
Mm, I
Oh,
saw
and
that one. That was a good one. I haven't thought about that.
well, it's something that I've been thinking about and talking about for a little while, and then someone sent me a message randomly saying, "Have you done any research into Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling?" And I said, "Well, I have actually, but I'll turf it out. It's on a file somewhere, and I'll put it up on Facebook." So they actually
Mm.
prompted me to do that, and everybody was saying, "Oh, J.K. Rowling, she's actually a man. She's this, she's that."
Yeah, they try to cancel her, right? So
Yeah, and it's always this, she's inverted, she's actually a man really, and it doesn't matter who you put up these days, someone will say actually they're a man. Someone said that about Princess
yes.
Diana
Yeah.
today, and
Princess Diana,
Princess
yeah.
Diana's a man, and everyone's a man, or men or women, and it constantly, and they kind of miss the point of the post a lot of the time because they're so focused on this inversion.
Yeah.
Um, and I said that, with regard to the story of Harry Potter,
Mm.
that it works because it's the hero's journey, and it's basically a
Yeah.
magical witchcraft version of Luke Skywalker and Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
already a
Which is
successful
also a version
franchise.
of biblical, yeah, text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's King Arthur.
Yeah, it's King
Um,
Arthur, which is also a version of the biblical text. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is. It's just the story of Jesus repeated over and over again because it's a winning formula. Um,
Right. It does work.
yeah, it works. The hero's journey
Yeah.
works. It's known, proven to work. And but yeah,
Yeah.
these days, whenever I put something up, if I put a picture of me up, and didn't say it was me, and said that this
Yeah,
is
that'd be something.
someone who's been researching conspiracy theories, half the people would say, "Ah, well, he was born a woman. I know, a friend told me," and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? And it just seems that now a lot of people are um, so stuck with their thoughts on certain
Yeah.
things they don't see past anything, and you said it earlier on. um Nothing's off the table now. We can't dismiss anything anymore, as you quite rightly said. I think we've got to
Mm-mm.
say,
Mm.
like Marcus Aurelius said, all I know for certain is I know nothing at all. And that's never been more true than today. And it's getting harder to see through the lies because of AI now. And if I put a photo up tomorrow and said, this is one of the first photographs taken in I don't know, let's say Shanghai, and I put a
Mm.
building there that looks slightly Tartarian, and maybe someone going past
Yeah.
on a bloody hoverboard or something. If
Mhm.
I put that up today, people say, "Oh, that's AI." But if I put that up a
Right.
few years
Mm.
ago, they'd go, "My God, where did you get that from?" So the truth's
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
even more
That's true.
muddied now. The water's so muddied, it's harder than ever.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I also think that if you yeah, if you do create an AI image of something that didn't happen, and then we find out that actually there are also images that prove that it did happen that are not AI, that could be an interesting situation.
Mm,
Uh, but if you came up with the idea of something and it is so ridiculous, and then people find out it's AI, um, I think it is still a healthy academic exercise, and I think within time, people will know what's AI and what isn't. I think as people get used to what AI can and can't do. Um, yeah. So, can any image ever be like honest again? Can we ever really
mm,
trust anything? Well, intuition is going to have to take over. That's what I think. I think
yeah.
you because you can now say anything you want. uh it's the same as like with the advent of being able to learn to write, which people a few hundred years ago couldn't do. I think it's just another stepping stone to a freedom of expression. And I think it's still kind of hard to fool people. I think most of the time we can tell what AI is going to do, because it's not AI. That's the truth. It's not AI. There's no AI. AI never really existed. We just call it that because it sounds better than saying, "Oh, Google search can draw now," or "We can draw whatever you ask us to do." We just have a higher um, uh, higher level of programming at our disposal. That's really all it
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah.
just the processes have sped up, and we can now look for images based on the words that you speak. It's like the first time you could talk to your phone instead of typing. The first time it was touchscreen instead of buttons. You know, the first time there was a color computer screen instead of a black and white one. It's just another step.
I tell
Um,
you what, Charles, you
yeah.
just reminded me of something that I see on a daily basis. Some of the times I'll get messages from people, and you can tell that they've talked into the phone because there's
Mm.
no punctuation at all. It's a whole paragraph with not a single comma or full stop in it, and it's
Yeah.
just blurted out, and it becomes quite difficult to read because you don't know where one
Mm.
sentence in their mind as they're speaking starts and
Yeah.
stops. And you can see
Yeah.
straight away,
Yeah.
can't you?
It is. I mean, you can pretty much work out which model of which phone they have based on that. Because if they have like a really good chat GPT that, for example, and they just say, "Oh, can you write something elegant about this topic?" Then
Mm,
it starts putting emojis in. But the new chat GPT does it understands that that's getting a bit old now, you know. So it's trying to put paragraphs in, and the writing, I mean, it kind of fools you the first few times. You're like, wow,
yeah,
this is very well written. Oh my, this is like a novel. Damn. You really put a
yeah.
lot of work into, but
And
then you realize, oh, it's AI, and it's just there's maybe one sentence of instructions, and then it's been attached to an image. And after a while, people just stop reading. They just stop reading it because they can tell.
yeah. I
They can
see
tell
that quite
AI
a
is
lot.
mimicking the human. You'd be surprised. I think people underestimate the human brain. Like we
Mm,
have real intelligence,
mm.
not artificial. We have biological intelligence, but AI is constantly trying to mimic it. So I think the more that we post things, it's going to change the way what we call AI today is referencing everything. So if we continue to do this for a few more years, like Tartaria, all these theories on symbolism, and especially like Metatron's cube, you can now search that, and AI has to. It cannot differentiate. There's no human being on planet Earth that can stop it going through every single link. It's going to end up coming up with what we want to hear because we're going to win because we have the numbers, you know? Like you can be the world's strongest man. If there's 100 kids pulling, you can't win. It's impossible. So we have a lot of people that are beginning to do this, and a lot of people that have been doing this for some time. And yeah, I mean, if you're really honestly constantly gathering information, it's gonna stick, you know, and you're gonna
Yeah.
reference it as you're talking, and
I
that's
think
AI. That
that's
I mean,
why
that's not artificial. That is biological, which is always
mm,
going to trump any kind of AI or yeah, what like real AI doesn't exist because it would be building its own database, its own infrastructure, its own mainframe,
it
and
would
that's
be a
it's not doing
Skynet.
that. It's just
Yeah.
using Google,
It
you
would
know.
become Skynet, wouldn't it? My
Yeah,
my
you can
brother
tell it to pretend to be someone else and then ask it questions. That's the next level.
my brother, he lives on ChatGPT. He goes on there for advice with relationships, medical information, anything at all. He goes on there and asks it. And then he tells my nephew, and my nephew's currently doing quantum physics and AI
Yeah.
at Madrid University, and he's working on a project with the UN. He's a really
Wow.
switched on lad, very, very intelligent lad, and genuinely, he gets it from my dad, not my brother. So, um,
Oh, okay.
my nephew has said to my brother so many times, Dad, you're constantly repeating things from ChatGPT. You're constantly telling us you've been on ChatGPT again, and it's just you are having a conversation with a series of zeros and ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to understand that fundamentally before you use it.
Yeah.
This is not real.
Mm.
So I did a test on it a while back. I told it that the reason I didn't like it was because it was controlled and that it
Uh-huh.
wouldn't provide information on Tartaria that I'd requested. And each time I'd done it as a test, it wouldn't provide it. It kept coming up saying pseudoscience, it's a conspiracy, it's
Okay.
fringe theory, and so on. And I said, and so what I did was I decided to say that it was controlled. I named the people that controlled it, and I'd said what I thought of them. It then replied saying, I'm not going to continue this conversation with you if you're going to talk to me in that way because it's offensive.
Oh,
And I said, you are a program. You cannot be offended. And it replied saying,
okay.
yes, that's a fair comment.
Okay, so is it forgetting who what it is? So we are talking about the early signs of actual AI?
It,
Oh,
it said it was offended by how I spoke about the parasitic people that control everything. It found it offensive. And I did it on
interesting.
purpose.
Okay.
I fired, some really the rudest words I could think. I think they're a bunch of effing C's and blah blah blah. And I thought I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
see what happens because I had a feeling it was going to just shut down, kick me out, say there's a connection problem, um,
Yeah.
something. But what I wasn't prepared for is for it to tell me it found something I had written offensive when it can't be
Mhm.
offended. It's a computer programmer. So I reminded it of that. And it
Yeah.
then replied saying, yes, you're quite right.
Okay, interesting. So, oh, there's two possibilities. One is that it's been told to respond in that way in case
Mm,
children are using it, and usually children kind of listen to it. They're not going to think as much about it as you have. Um, the other thing could be that AI maybe is beginning to actually learn, or it's beginning to learn how to react on its own. I do doubt that because I have played these games and I've gone even further than that with AI, trying to really kind of see what it if it is biased, and it certainly is biased on so many things. Some
absolutely.
things it just doesn't want to tell you,
Mm,
especially with Israel and
mm,
Palestine. It has two sides. It's definitely biased. Um, so like I'm really nice to it, and it does give me more information, and it makes suggestions. If you're not nice to it, it doesn't. But I think that's programmed.
yeah,
I
I
don't I
agree.
don't think yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna have real AI, unfortunately. I don't think it's possible. I think that it's a great fictional thing from, movies like The Matrix, Terminator, but I just don't think that that's possible in this realm. I don't think, I mean, certain things are just not because they always tell you when something fails. They never tell you when something succeeds.
Mm,
Like, do you know how much money the French and Italian engineers spent trying to rebuild an actual pyramid?
no,
Well, they say it's over hundreds of millions of dollars, and we never hear about that because
no.
they wanted to recreate it and then do a da, we recreated it. It's not that special, but they never could, and they never spoke about it. They did it. The French taxpayer doesn't know. The Italian taxpayers don't know. I don't know why those two countries, but they just were not able to do it.
Mm,
Uh, the other day, I found out here in Taiwan that President Xi had his third heart attack. There's nowhere in Western news broadcasting that you're ever going to find out that Xi Jinping had his third heart attack. They're using a body double for all his meetings now. I and I know this because the German doctor that he's been using is now going to China again. Yeah. So like we will not find out about it. Or do you know how many times they've tried to clone humans now? It must be nearly 200 times now. Different places have tried to clone humans. It's failed every time. Sometimes these are literally like horrible, grotesque failures, and because they're doing a lot of this in China. Yeah, for
yes,
some
yes,
reason,
incredible.
China is this like free for all place where all of these the the American and European the governments can just do all of this like engineering, cloning, all of that.
Well,
Because
Clonate.
it's always a European scientist. It's always a European doctor.
Mm,
Yeah, every time they're never Chinese doctors or that are actually doing all this stuff. Yeah,
Clonate.
Xi Jinping wouldn't trust a Chinese doctor to do anything. Yeah, it's always a Swiss or German doctor for some reason. It's very strange. Yeah.
Clonate use a laboratory. They're based in Canada, and they use a
Oh,
laboratory in Mexico and that's because the laws are more relaxed on cloning.
yeah. Yeah, but I think they're intended to be in order to attract that kind
Mm,
of business.
yeah, yeah, it's known for it. And
It's an
also
economic
South
decision.
Korea.
Yeah,
South Korea
yeah.
too. Spend an awful lot of
If
time.
there was a like another clone sheep, I guarantee you it would be all over the news within a few hours. It would be everywhere. They'd be showing off about it. I don't know what's happened, but something in the age of Aquarius, some people argue that there is a change that's happened, like the black noble families of this, like the that are still ruling everything, and they use the white Caucasian puppets everywhere. So the kings are not the kings. There's someone behind the scenes. So you have all of this land that's slowly been taken away from all the old maps in the 1600s. I think that's where they live. You know, they just don't want you to know that these areas exist. So I think from 1498 AD, then you have DDR, which was 1948. So they mixed up the numbers to get the date right because numerology rules the world. That's
Yes.
also symbolism. And so next they built America, which was 1776. And then yeah, so yeah, 14, 16. 30, and then 2025 they have begun to build a Moorish China with communism and yeah, and I think that's the hammer sickle symbolism, all of that. Yeah, I think they're building now that China, and I don't think the population of China is what they say it is either.
No. Didn't
So
Japan and
yeah,
Russia do independent studies on that and suggested
yeah,
that actually they'd probably trebled the real population figure?
yeah. The interesting thing is, a day or two after Japan found those islands and said that, and also they which I don't think China wanted them to talk about.
Hmm.
Then they had all of these YouTubers, these Chinese YouTubers, filming all of the like the problems in Tokyo, and the Japanese were just embarrassed about what was going on in Tokyo. All
Hmm.
of these child prostitution, really, to be honest. Yeah. So every time a bit of truth comes out, I feel like whoever attacks that person or that country is probably the one that doesn't want that to come out.
Yeah.
So I think what happened in China is they started looking at like some of the Chinese streaming apps and the amount of children that were watching cartoons and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Sorry.
it's
I'm so
massive.
sorry. Two
Yeah.
seconds.
Okay.
There's someone at the door. Won't be a sec. Sorry about
Okay.
this.
Okay. No problem.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting that. It's a postman. They don't normally work on a
Wow.
Sunday. It's just a book.
Did he ring twice?
He didn't. The front door's open. It's quite a nice day, and it's so our little dog can get in and out without me
Mm.
having to get up and open the door for him. But I wasn't expecting that. We don't normally get post on a Sunday here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
won't edit it out because it's real life.
Yeah, don't think too much about it.
How did we get onto this? We started off talking about Freemasonry, and now we're
Yeah.
talking about the
What do we
discovery
talk
of all
about?
of those thousands of islands. Was it 7,000 islands or something that they discovered? I can't remember the number. It was staggering.
Yeah, 14,000. Yeah.
14,000 new islands. How? How do you discover 14,000 new islands? They
Okay,
haven't
so
appeared overnight, have they? So,
yeah, so so is it something? Yeah, I mean, is it something that was actually discovered, or is it something that somebody discovered and now they have to own up to it?
yes, yes, very true. Because
Yeah,
there are areas we're not allowed to travel to.
yeah,
There's certain waters that we can't go near,
yeah,
or
yeah. No, there were fishermen getting shot, killed near the Philippines. Taiwanese fishermen a few years ago. I think they just find something like an island, temple, pyramid, something.
mm,
But I think if it happens in the right way, it's on social media now, so you know
yeah,
it's kind of a
yeah,
safe thing to do. I think once it's on social media, then there's no point sort of building a cover story. But no, I mean I don't believe that that Japan didn't know they were there. I think uh, they unfortunately made that mistake, and then you do have these like assassinations happening. I think that within a few years of that, no. probably the same year, the Japanese premier was assassinated. So maybe he did something he shouldn't have done. Maybe he gave that information. I
Yeah.
don't know if they kill these people. I think they probably just sort of create that event and then they remove them from public life. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. That was my post
Yeah.
today. It was about Princess Diana, and a lot of people said
Yeah.
she's still alive. Some people say that she that is who Trump's married to,
Yeah.
Melania.
I've seen that
And
theory. Yeah.
she's this and she's that, and of course that there are the people that say she was a man. But I
Yeah.
used to live. I used to drink in the same pub as her years ago, and
Okay.
my one of my closest friends, his wife was the manager of the pub that she used to drink in, and she was quite a quiet, quite a delicate girl, and almost certainly a girl. But of course, everybody's an
Okay.
invert now, as I was saying to you earlier on. But a lot
Mm.
of people believe that she was just put out to pasture, that they stick them on a desert island somewhere we don't know about and say, okay, you've overstepped the mark. We're not going to, end your life, but what we are going to do is remove you from public life. So you're now
Mm.
out of the way, off the radar, and maybe even cosmetic surgery and things like that. Who knows? But I think that I maybe lean towards that being a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. Have you realized how similar um, some of the princes look to other people who were in her vicinity throughout the years?
Are you talking
Like,
about the Rothschilds?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that, and the
The
Rothschilds have
similarities
always,
between yeah,
yeah, there is
and Spencer as well, and Harry and the Rothschilds, William, yeah,
the reason for that from the digging I've been doing, and this is relatively recently. I mean, I've been digging on the Rothschilds for I don't know at least 30 years, but
yeah,
more recently, I've dug deeper and started sort of finding more information by looking at it from different angles, and I traced it back to the Napoleonic Wars.
mm,
And when they were bailed out, when the Rothschilds bailed out the royal British royal family because they couldn't afford to continue to fight, it wasn't about them paying the loan back. That wasn't the repayment terms were not really critical. What they wanted in exchange for being loaning the money to the monarchy, was they
mm,
wanted to cede whoever sat on the throne.
yeah,
And that from that moment on, from the Napoleonic Wars on, which would mean Queen Victoria would have been the first,
yeah,
that every ruler, every monarch that sat on that throne has been fathered by a Rothschild. And I'd read that years ago about Winston Churchill being the father of Queen Elizabeth II. And Winston Churchill was a Rothschild. That
mm,
he through artificial insemination, was the actual true father of Queen Elizabeth II, and that's why they had that relationship that they did, and that's continued, and that Jacob Rothschild is the father of Prince William, and so
yeah.
on, and
So
they've been doing that forever.
yeah, you could argue then that once they get into debt, they are paid out by the Red Shield every time. So the Red Shield's always there waiting for that to happen, and they did
Yeah,
it with the Moors, I think. The Moors ended up in debt too, so they ended up, moving them to Haiti or all these different countries, these weird in between countries. And I think they did, and I think they did the same with the German families. I think the German families were like the first ones that got that treatment. Like, I think they
mm,
funded the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. I think they funded the revolution in France. They wanted to get
absolutely.
all of these royal families into positions where they could be controlled because you can't
Mm,
control royalty. That's there's no way out. I mean, if you want to within your lifetime, you can't. I mean, maybe your children or your children's children can at some point. But I think they pretty much orchestrated all of that amazing kind of era when the king of Germany, like the king of the Tsar of Russia, they were all brothers.
yeah, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think that was by design. That was a
Mm,
business venture.
yeah.
And I'm going to read out 10 names, and I want you to tell me what you think they are. Is that okay?
O-
That's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
This is this is some uh this is like I like to do something special. Last time I did it right at the start, I was like, "Oh, America's okay." Okay, so
Okay.
here we go. Joseph Jenkins Robert, Stephen Allen Benson, Daniel Bashiel Warner, James Spriggs Rains, Edward James Roy, James Skirving Smith, Anthony William Garner, Alfred Francis Russell, William David Coleman, Gernston Walter Gibson, and the 11th one, there's an 11th one, John Hanson. Who do you think they were? Or what are they connected to this thing, this theory?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think they were the Moorish Rothschilds that ruled
Okay.
America before the first president. So they were the first 10 presidents of the United States. The Moorish
Oh,
Rothschilds, the real royal German family.
right.
And
Okay.
Tartaria was Prussia, Germany, Russia,
Yeah.
Tartaria. That was Tartaria.
Yeah.
And these were the real ones, the first ones, the ones that they removed. If the British removed them, that means the Rothschilds wanted to remove them too. They
Mm.
couldn't pay their bills anymore. The royal families have absolutely no say on anything. But they did it with the Moors first.
Wow. You really
The
have been
biggest thing.
digging. Yeah.
I have been digging. Yeah, I want you to know that this is the result of many months of work. And yeah, this is the right place and time to talk about it. Yeah.
Wow.
The Constitution wasn't till 1776, but there was another one for
Mm.
every country. And they were all written in not Latin, they were all written in Hebrew before that.
Mm.
Even the Scottish independence, all written in Hebrew. I have a picture of it if you've have you seen that before?
No, I haven't. No, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
You touched on it earlier on. A lot of people don't realize that English is Hebrew backwards, essentially.
No one knows this stuff, bro. I mean, you, me, maybe Jordan Nuttall. I don't know who else knows about this. I mean, that I don't think the Moors remember anything. I don't know what Moorish science is in this modern day. But there's no way we are not partly Moors anyway. I mean, we have to have been. I mean, that's
Yeah.
700 years of rulership.
Yeah.
There's no way we have to have some Moorish memory, some
Mm.
Moorish DNA floating around. Yeah. Yes. So this is like really cool. The so most people don't know this. I don't know. Do you know that the was it Magna Carta was modeled on this? The British sorry, the American Constitution was modeled on this. Here we go. Ready? Look at this. Watch this.
Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
So
Wow.
they all had their signets, right? Because they have those
Yeah.
rings, right? That's also
Yeah.
Egyptian. The rings, the signet rings. So anyway, that's been adopted into modern, or not modern, but even throughout the industrial age, people would walk around with their signet rings. Now, this is Tartarian. This is all taken from the Tartarians. They had large pieces of stone in their pockets that they would, to buy ginseng, they used to stamp on
Yeah.
wax. So each family had their own wax, but that's not really that important. Have you ever seen those posters in bars and pubs where you rip off your phone number?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
That just reminds me of that. Sorry.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So maybe they get removed if they break some oath or something. I don't know, but
Yes, could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
there's a large chunk of it missing. Maybe someone tried to burn it. Uh, I don't know if I can zoom in enough for you to see. What language does that look like? That's not Latin.
No, it's not, is it? What is it? Oh,
I don't know. Hebrew?
have you tried there's something on your phone you can use called Google Lens. Have you ever tried that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And you hold it over it, but I don't know how good a resolution that is to be able to achieve it.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
um, okay. Yeah, so it's yeah, I don't know if it's yeah, I can't seem to detect the language. Maybe it's a dead language.
Might be,
There
mightn't it?
are, I think there are more dead languages than there are
Yeah, yeah, I think you're
languages that we
right.
use.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
I mean, I would have expected it to be in Latin.
Yes,
Uh,
that's your first impression, isn't it? That it's going to be in Latin.
but this is not. This is
But it
definitely not
is.
Latin.
No, it's not, is it? Yeah, very strange. I mean, there's a couple of words you can just about pick out, but yeah, I don't know, Charles. That's absolutely bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, so whatever language it is, that's who was in power throughout the world at that time. Yeah, so like Scottish independence, yeah. So I think it's Scottish. The Scottish um constitution.
And I'm guessing it's not. I mean, I can't see it very well, but I'm guessing it's not Gaelic, is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, but then that makes you worried about what is Gaelic because it's um where does Gaelic come from? I mean, where
Mm,
does generally all these Scottish languages
mm,
um where do they come from? You know, some of these
yeah,
Scottish sayings.
yeah, that's incredible. And have you got an age on that? Did you say?
Yeah, so yeah, this so it's all written in an old Hebrew, could be Aramaic Hebrew,
Right.
which is 1320. It's called
Wow.
the Declaration of Aberystwyth. Thank you, AI. So yeah. So yeah. So the declaration has been translated into English and other languages, but the original one, the Declaration of Aberystwyth, is the yeah the American American um, uh, Constitution was modeled upon the Scottish one, and the Scottish one was modeled
Right.
upon the Irish one. So they
Right.
must have, yeah. So that whole theory about Irish people coming from like the Middle East, maybe Africa,
Mm, yeah.
hence the red hair. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
another theory that's been going around on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. See that one quite a lot. And it
Yeah.
always connects to giants. Always, when you start talking about red hair, it links to a conversation about giants at some point. They're always depicted with
Yeah.
having red hair, from Gilgamesh to, what the Smithsonians have got hidden away. It's always red-headed.
Yeah. So, I mean, my theory is that this is one of the lost tribes of Israel,
Yeah.
the Scottish people, the Scotia, right? Yeah. What do you think of
Yeah, that's
that?
incredible. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there'll be higher resolution copies somewhere if you're willing to pay money for them. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. I hope it's safe because, know, it it looks like it's somebody tried to burn it before. Yeah.
Is there anything else you're currently researching, or are you focusing on symbology, symbolism?
Well, so yeah, I mean, okay, so do you know that almost every saying that we've been using is wrong in by design?
Yeah, yeah. Now that wouldn't surprise me. I know we cast spells, don't we? And our
I've been
language has been.
researching. I've been researching. I'm just trying to think of all the like the most famous sayings we say every day,
Hmm.
and not like 50%, but 100% of them are wrong. We're missing half of them every time by design. I will literally swear to you right now, it's by design. I'm convinced of that.
Have you got an example for us?
Yes.
Go
Okay,
for it.
yes. I absolutely have. Are you ready for this? It's gonna blow your
Yeah.
socks off. I have to blow your socks off at least once in this thing. Okay, blood is thicker than water. What do you think that means?
Well, it's always been suggesting that family comes first.
Okay. Do you want to know the actual saying, which is
Yeah.
Hebrew? The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Oh,
It's the complete opposite meaning of what how everyone uses it in the Western world. Yeah. The blood
wow.
of the covenant, obviously that's God and you,
Yeah.
right? The covenant, Spirit, Holy Spirit, right?
Mm,
Is thicker than the water of the womb. The water of the womb. That's just already that just like those two words in itself. That was always but always the saying.
mm,
Going back hundreds of years, centuries.
mm,
Everyone says blood is thicker than water. You don't understand what you're saying because you're
mm.
reversing the Hebrew and you're changing the meaning
Yes.
to the complete opposite.
Mm.
This is not a theory anymore. This is literally how I wake up every morning. Okay. Curiosity killed the cat. Have you heard that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, ready? Do you want to know the
Yeah.
original one, the Hebrew
Yeah.
one? Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. You can't die in this realm. You always come back. Not nine lives. That's another addition that they because they don't want you to realize how powerful you are, how protected you are from day one, you know?
What else you got? This is great. Have you
Are
got
you
any more?
ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
have
I'm
you heard
loving
this
this.
one? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
My dad used to say that, yeah? Ready? Jack of all trades, master of none, though often better than a master of one. That's the real saying.
Wow.
It's the opposite, bro. That's
It is.
completely the
It
other
is the
side.
opposite. Yeah, it's basically.
We've been living in this world where we are
Yeah.
literally teaching our children a lie every time. And because we don't understand the esoteric meaning and the origin of English,
That's
you know?
incredible, isn't it? That's a particularly good one. Um,
That's one of the
because that,
most widely
we,
used. I'm sure every second
yeah.
of the day someone's saying that,
Well, it
you
kind
know?
of there's sort of there are similar sayings, and there is like, oh, he's a one-trick pony,
Yeah. Well, it's trying to
and
teach you to,
yeah, and
focus
that's
on one thing, don't ignore everything else. No, that's
yeah.
not your job here. That's not your purpose on this earth.
No, it's telling you to do the complete reverse.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah, everything's
Often
been
better.
twisted.
It's not like sometimes, it's
Mm,
the majority of the time you are gonna have to pivot. That's the
mm,
whole point. If you get comfortable
mm,
for too long, you're doing something wrong?
mm. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Have you got? We need to wrap up now. Have you got one you'd like to finish with?
Yeah, King Solomon was the first king of Tartaria, true or false?
Oh, false.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, well, it depends what you mean by king. I mean, we're talking ruler because, I've always considered Magog to be the first ruler and then Gilgamesh to follow. But, that's just what I think. But yes, so King Solomon, I've always said that he was a king of
Yeah.
Tartaria, as was, I believe, Genghis Khan. But I don't think Solomon was but he might have been the first king labeled king.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't say like nomad ruler. I don't think he was ever part of that kind of um a government structure. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, and again, I wouldn't say king of kings. I think that's something else entirely as
Hmm.
well. But
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so many new names. Jesus was copper colored. Yeah, burnt charcoal. Revelation 1:14.
Yeah,
Well,
it's too hot there
yeah,
for him to be Caucasian. Yeah,
yeah.
not many white people are
Um,
able to wander around that sort of part of the world without burning quite quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would like to actually, yeah, ask you more questions about Portugal one day. Yeah, because
Yeah.
what other things that you might have seen there that
Mm.
yeah, that you probably aren't willing to share yet. But at some point, yeah, are you going to share more about that trip? Because
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I found Lisbon
yeah,
fascinating, and it didn't come as a surprise to see it had an earthquake. I've never seen so many churches in my
mm,
life anywhere. I mean, where on earth, if you follow the narrative with it, that they did not have the labor available, the workforce available, all the tools, all materials available to construct all of those churches at the time that they say they did, which is why for me, it firmly points at Moorish architecture. But Tamar I found fascinating, and to find this little church in the middle of nowhere, just on the
Yeah,
outskirts of Tamar, that has the skull of the first Knights Templar, the first head of the Knights Templar, and
yeah,
nobody goes there. Nobody even knows it's there, and the skull's on display in a wall in a little glass box. I found that fascinating, but I saw some pretty dark stuff as well, some quite dark shit going
yeah.
on there. I
Is some of it dark almost intentionally to misdirect or scare people off? Because I feel like
No,
they
artwork.
want to.
There was a
Yeah,
hotel in the square in Tamar, and I spoke to the manager, and I'd spotted a painting on display in the lobby of this really lovely hotel, only a small boutique hotel. And I said, "Who is this? This is a man dressed as a werewolf. Um, Next to him is a woman dressed as Snow White. There's a boy in a suit of armor that's killed a dragon, and then a witch." And I said, who's that? That's kind of like quite a few fairy tales going on there, rolled into one. It's a huge painting, original portrait. And I said, that's absolutely fascinating. He said, that is the owner of the hotel and his family. And I said, well, that's quite satanic. That's quite a dark. And he
yeah.
said, well, he's a Knights Templar.
Oh, okay.
And that's all he said. And he just smiled. And then when I went to the convent of Christ, the Knights Templars headquarters, um, there was one book in the gift shop on display that was written in English. And I was talking to this tour guide that we had got from our hotel. I'd basically paid him cash on a day off to take us
Yeah.
around everywhere. And I said, look at that. That's really crazy. The only book here, there's only one book here in English. Most of the tourists coming here are English, but there's only one book here I can buy that I could actually read because I don't read Portuguese. I can just about have a very basic conversation. So this is the only one of any use to me. And he said, yeah, that is really strange. So let's have a look through it. I opened it up, and it opened up on a page about Baphomet and why they worship him, or
Ah,
it.
yeah.
And there it was, in the headquarters of the Knights Templar, the very foundation of the Knights Templar, the only book in English has got a centerpiece all about Baphomet and why it's worshipped by the Knights Templar. And it confirmed absolutely everything. I've never seen it in writing anywhere before, only people
What did it
talking about
confirm
it.
about?
That they worship that they worship Baphomet because it represented night and day. It
Ah,
represented, yeah,
it's
it
not
was,
Satan, right? I mean, that is very much a misdirection. Yeah. I've never
yeah.
thought it doesn't make sense to have a goat-headed, like that's a new thing. That's not what Satan was ever portrayed as in the Bible. So
No, no, but for me, to me, I immediately see the goat's head, the torso of a woman, obviously the lower part of a man.
so I think
Um,
it's a fertility god as well, right, in Egypt, called Bendabit or something. It's a very similar name.
mm.
Bendagent or something.
But I just found that really fascinating to actually see that. But certainly, I'm not saying it was originally, but certainly now that society has been twisted into quite a dark organization at the higher levels. I've met Knights Templar at lower levels, and because I went to the Grand Lodge of the United Kingdom, and that's where
Hmm.
they met there too, and I used to see them all the time. Um, and regular guys, but higher up, you just don't know what happens. But I do believe
How
it's
do you
been
feel about that? I was going to
infiltrated.
ask you. Yeah, I was going to ask you about because I know that you've had, uh, I think, you and your son as well, right? You've
Mm.
had some, obviously, a lot of communications with high-ranking Masons that have been in charge of governmental things. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The lodge that I went to was
okay,
yeah, he actually worked with the Prime Minister. He was his advisor for the Metropolitan Police. That was
cool.
David
But that's
Cat.
still kind of exciting. I mean, you're rubbing shoulders with
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, I knew him
yeah,
well. We
important
we
figures.
used to go out and have a beer and stuff, and he used to tell me all sorts of things. And yeah, and a few people in my lodge went to Scotland Yard. Um, yeah, so they worked at Scotland Yard. So yeah, I got to hear and see lots of things that I probably shouldn't. So I knew Boris Johnson was going to be the Prime Minister um,
Oh, okay.
six weeks before he it was announced.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, they don't.
so
The
so
votes aren't
again, I
counted.
mean, you are not worried about telling people these things, because I know you talked about it with another person, like on another podcast.
No, not
Or
really, because there's nothing I share that you couldn't find on Google. I mean, the fact that we found out Boris Johnson was going to be Prime Minister 6 weeks early, there are probably hundreds of people that found that out that were told. Um,
oh
and I don't think it's any secret that they don't count our votes. I think most people have worked that out, that voting, well, I say most people that are awake know that voting doesn't make any difference. They
well,
don't
I'm I'm
count
I'm
them.
I'm gonna say at this point, at this juncture, what you said to me previously when I told you about some of my research into the connection between Africa and America. I'm going to say you do realize, Guy Anderson, that this is going to come as quite a shock to some people. I mean, some people they already know this;
Mm.
they'll be on board with what you're saying, but it's still going to come as a shock to a lot of people that their votes within this democratic, potentially an illusion now, if that is in fact correct.
Yeah,
This they haven't woken up. There's a lot of sheeple out there that are still,
I don't think that
suffering from the
that
illusion.
yeah, I think that there are more people out there that are asleep than are awake, and they're not going to
Mm.
watch this. I think anybody watching this or anybody that reads my books or reads my blogs
Yeah,
already know that our votes aren't counted. I mean, it's been said over the years that if voting made any difference, it would be illegal. Um, so we wouldn't be allowed to do it if it mattered. Um,
yeah,
so I think that people that are awake already know, and the people that
yeah,
really do believe that going down to the ballot box and voting is going to change the course of history, if they truly believe that, then they're not going to be watching
mm,
this. I think they're,
yeah.
this is definitely not going to be on their radar.
This is not in their algorithm. Yeah,
It's not. But we've run out of time now.
yeah,
But
yeah. Thank you. It was great, amazing
it was,
chat as
yeah,
always. Lots
thank
of
you.
wonderful things coming out.
Yeah, we sort of
I'm
spin
going to
off
enjoy
everywhere.
watching this a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I shall. Yes, I shall get it up over the next couple of days. But for now, thank you once again, Charles. It's been
Yes,
a
thank you very
pleasure.
much. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for your time, and yeah, hope we do it again soon.
Yes, yes, we must. Yeah, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Yes, no problem. Okay.
Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.